Hello friends, welcome back to Rinard. As you can see, we are looking at a very autumnal Chateau DuLac. That's the name they've settled on for their vineyard. You can see they've got some of the some housing here. They've got the tasting rooms. They've got a little bistro, couple of bistros. They've got, of course, the hotel for people to stay in. They've got the house here for them. All in all, they have done a lot to gussy the place up and make it truly their own, and to truly represent the largesse of their economic status ever since they've successfully developed so much of Rinard. Let's zoom back and look at that. Now look at that. Isn't that amazing? But you know, Monsieur DuLac is not one to pass up an opportunity for some development. And people like living here. And so they are actually seceding from Lyndonville's operational district. And they are enforcing their own area, Chateau DuLac, because Chateau DuLac, Domaine DuLac, all of those were not enough. No. We need to have Chateau DuLac. Which means our city here needs to, our village, as it were, needs to grow. Monsieur DuLac is a man of faith. So despite the... Sure, recalibrate that. Why not? Despite Karen's complaints, because Karen isn't particularly religious. Never has been. She didn't even attend the ceremony for Phil. Talk about that. That's all drama. But as you can imagine, they want to have a little parish church out here. And of course, there's going to be need for a crematorium as well for those that don't want to be interred but would prefer to be cremated. So that's some stuff that's happening nearby. And of course, being that it is Chateau DuLac, there's definitely going to be input from Monsieur DuLac and Karen DuLac. So we'll see how that develops out. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you a little bit around the area here. There's been some changes to the highway. As you can see, instead of it bottlenecking down here, it's now bottlenecking here, because everyone's decided that coming this way is the best way to go. Yeah, as you can tell, it's just a wonderful time here in Utono. I really just can't even begin to tell you how disgusted I am with this place as far as the traffic situation goes. We've got the Neuf Carré, which is basically a mining district. Colos did establish one place, but there is another player that's come in to accommodate the need for stone in the area. And then if you follow the highway along, remember how we were talking about there being other villages? Well, we found one that wanted to join our area here, our agglomération rinardoise, New Brooklyn, which is a Dutch-descended city, and as you can tell, they're not that big as far as things go. However, they did have some recent pushes with the prefectural design board to allow them to channel more of the Brooklyn or New Amsterdam spirit on their main road here, And so we are going to see some commercial that might be more in line with those design choices. And that'll grow in here. In the meantime, they've got all of their little their little local items, and it does connect over here to Saint-Exupéry. We've got so much waterfront we could be making use of. You can see that it's grown in further here between Holsteinberg and Bremenberg. Kind of interesting to look at it, see as it's grown in, and it's expanded here a little bit too, in case you didn't see that. Let's make sure that all that zoning is in. There is zoning, but we're going to bring in our good friend, Mr. Pathman and Killdozer 9000 to perhaps recalibrate things to allow for a little more development to go in there. We're going to put in the German housing here because we want to have, like I say, a little more density.
It's so dense.
Alright, and as you can see the crescent here, the city has promised to build a park here. They haven't started, they're still putting the decisions through the planning commission. In the meantime, we've had a lot of growth here in the Bremenberg, what did I call this? Bremenberg Strand, I believe. You'll correct me. You know what it was. The Coles Industrial Park kind of needs a revamp in size. But the airport's continuing. Apparently, we're seeing how airplanes are made with those two ramming into each other. Whatever that does. Had a car accident, looks like. But as you can see, we've got the different highways connecting and carrying over. We've got our tram depots going. 015 vehicles in use on that one. That's interesting. Well, that's alright. We've also had some growth of the industrial needs in this area here. Right? And Loosbatterkerk is doing well, as is our wonderful Whittington, with all of its growth there. We've got the Whittington Industrial Complex that's home to a lot of the infrastructure for the trams. College is doing well. We've got the stadiums and we've got the different schools going. Some decent attendance at all of them. The dorms are looking wonderful, built out there. We've got additional growth in this area, of course, and then here. And then there's this land here that has recently been opened up for low-density housing. We're at that point where we don't want to encroach much further on Aubigny-le-Forêt, but we do want to build it out some. So we are going to first look at what Monsieur DuLac and his wife Karen are going to do here in Chateau DuLac. Still can't believe that he's resorting to that. You'd think that, you know, for how the country of Louisiana was formed, that they would maybe shy away from the rhetoric of nobility. It's just not. It's not something that they really go for, the Louisianans. There is going to be. Where's my street parking ban? That's right. We're gonna have a steep roadside parking fee. But friends, here we go. We're going to start building it in. We're going to, typical DuLac fashion, there's going to be the curvies, the curvy worvies. Because Monsieur DuLac, for all of his erudition over time, he also knows what works. And what works for him are the curvy worvy roady wogies. That's a technical term, I'm sure. bold plans being laid out here. Now, they don't have any schools out here. They don't have any police out here. So I would expect him very shortly to bring in some additional supporting local infrastructure. So let's set your operating district. And we're gonna need a hospital because farm accidents do happen, and we do want to take care of the needs of the workers and the residents, the noblesse that live out here, because, you know, they've got the money, they're gonna want it, so we'll go ahead and we'll set that here. So, perfect, wonderful. With that, we're going to go ahead and start zoning in the housing. I'm gonna try this. Even though it's not actual waterfront, I think it might be a little more richy rich kind of housing. And I think we're going to see just how big of homes we can develop here in Chateau DuLac. If nothing more than to try to help with that staggering complaint about houses being too small. Never mind that they're nice houses and they're nice apartments. It's not like, you know, it's not like we are forcing them to live in shoeboxes. We're not like New Amsterdam or Philadelphia or any of the other places in the North American League. So we'll see how that takes off. Meanwhile, Chateau DuLac. I'm just very pleased with the different things I've planted. I did, for the sake of it, I did Wild Bush 2 a lot. I did apple trees, Wild Bush 1s, different ages of them to try to give the sense of it being different periods of growth. And then I just did the various lines, and there was a lot of drawing lines back and forth. We've got greenhouse row here, right, to make it pretty. So we'll see how that builds in. We'll see how people feel about that. We'll see small homes, still a -2. Fair taxes, +12. Well, it's because I'm not charging any tax for the residents. Because, you know, apparently that's a problem, I guess. Would people want to live there? No, because it's mapped over to the other side. It's alright. Also, forgot to tell you, Lyndonville's had a little bit of a remake. They expanded the main road, took out some of the yards and houses here, but the trees along the main road here are actually linden trees. Because I figured Lyndonville had better plant linden trees. They've also expanded out a little bit and added in another residential loop. There is talks of extending that over there. We'll see if that pans out. Wolfenburg might grow a bit. We might see Covenham grow. We might see Saint-Agathe-des-Prés grow a little bit. But in the meantime, we've got this neighborhood here. This one, a new planner from the capital, Paris de Missouri, has come onto the scene requesting with the city fathers to be allowed to purchase and develop. Can we please just place it instead of, you know, doing the loop-de-loop-de weirdness? Thank you. So they've requested with the city fathers to grid this out and to facilitate a broader residential district. But it's weird. Why is it doing that? we'll see how this plays out, because the roads are definitely on the messier side of things in this area of town. Of course it recalibrated it! I have real umbrage at that. I want to get anarchy just so I can have no collision. Because these were all just fine, and now suddenly, because I put the road in, suddenly, oh no, you have all been abandoned and have to rebuild. Because, oh no, it just doesn't make any sense to my brain. None. Zero. And not that our friends at Colossal Order will ever catch wind of it, but guys, can we please fix that? Because that's really, really aggravating. Also, this is really aggravating. Because, again, I didn't do anything other than, you know, connect the road in, and suddenly you're knocking everything down because, oh, and now we're going to be on a different road. Why? Really? Whatever. Oh, just poke myself in the face. Poke myself in the face. Okay. That developer, that hotshot developer from the capital, he knows how to appease people by giving them big lot sizes. This is people who want to live close to downtown, but not necessarily have the struggles of hefty downtown living, in the fact of having, you know, tall housing. In fact, they want to have the more mansion-y kind of district here. So they're going to take whatever they can as far as not being stuck with the high density, verticality. He's providing a nice taper down buffer to try to ease these people in, but at the same time recognizing fully that people are going to want to have some nicer choices as far as the type of housing they live in. So we will watch as that builds in. We'll crank that up to 3 speed. We'll look at all the sick people at the college. Apparently, it's probably because, you know, they all had, you know, one of them their parties. The Extreme Athletes Villa. Well, we're gonna have to build that. Where is our Extreme Athletes Villa? We're going to have a special neighborhood right there. We've got to have a special neighborhood. Because I've added in the New England pack. Yeah. Let's put in a nice little road. Maybe a couplet. What do you think? Would that be interesting to have a couplet here? Could have a couplet down, and then maybe a don't have words for the frustration I feel at the way that it recalibrates every time I even remotely touch anything. These were all beautiful French mixed housing, and you do that to me. Anyway, on that note, we'll do a couplet. Be a nice pretty little couplet. It'll connect over here. It won't rejigger all the things because I've put a path behind it now to force it. So we have that going for us. Then I'm going to have a one-way here. But that way we can have, at the end, we did get a different one. We got the Atkin-Palmer Mansion, which that is a 4, but we can go ahead and turn off the snap a little bit and center it, and this can be the University Chancellor's house at the end of the main road, but then also have just a little side road here. We'll do it nicely, nicely. And we'll just have it come over here, and that way it can be away from the Chancellor's house, but still be, you know, in such a way that it inspires people and also gives the Chancellor a way to glad hand potential donors. In case you didn't know, the Chancellor is, of course, Professor Galenier. I know. We're all shocked by it, too. So there we have that. And that's going to +2 well-being. That's going to be +2 well-being. And within 500 meters, there's nothing. But that's okay. We need to plant some trees in this area. And Monsieur Garonier, let's see what trees he would want here. We have a linden, a London plane. You know what? I think he would be the kind to go for a London plane. Although those aren't really seeming to grow very tall there. But... oh, it's because it's planting babies. Look at that, please. Thank you. Now, can we plant anything beautiful down the middle of this? Call it Chancellor Street. Tough to get a feel for this because it is the fall. But we've got the athlete's house. Look at that, the Swansons live there. He's a pole vaulter. Okay. Houses building in. Look at these houses here. These are growing in quite nicely. They probably want some parks. Probably need to have a little bit of coverage. Yep, I was expecting as much. You can stay there, because Yolande, you don't get to come any further up the coast. Alright. That takes care of that. That takes care of that. We need to readjust the borders because Lindenville, no sir, does not cover these houses. These are Chateau DuLac. Okay. How are we doing there? We need to adjust the border there. Good, we'll do that real quick. Bring that into line. That's there, that's there. We'll get there. How are we over here? Got everyone covered. Good, good, good. Okay. Locally doke. Let's look. Look at that. We've got some good, solid. How are we on our happiness filters here? Still small homes. Never, ever, ever will we make them happy, apparently. We can bring in some parks, though. We should anyway. They're gonna want them. They're gonna need them. They're gonna have kids. Probably. Maybe. That little playground will help if it's facing the right direction, but it's not because, you know, I turn the snap off to fit it in because it snaps funny, but it also just won't face the right way. How about that? Does that help? Does that work? Do you feel better now? Okay. The Chirplet Park, huh? Chirplet Park can go right there. We can accommodate you there. What can we fit in here? Lots of little parks because that also fits in well in the area because they've got their yards. They don't need parks necessarily, but say they want to kick their kids out of the yard because they've got the lawn care people there. Of course they're going to have to send the kids somewhere, so we'll just give them a few parks. And won't that help? I think we need to have some plazas here next to the hospital. That's my take on that. How do you guys not have any parks over here? I'm surprised that you've managed to go for so long without parks. Without squawking and making a little bit of a, hey, you forgot us, buddy. That'll help. Well, look at that. And Chateau DuLac has grown in pretty well over here. Lots of people enjoying this place. Friends, city's growing, getting bigger. I think we're gonna leave Rinard for a little bit and go and ignore all the people dying there. I don't see any people dying. What are you talking about? Thanks for being here. Glad to have you. Look forward to having you again next week. But in the meantime, keep building. We'll see you soon. Bye.